this is Chris. Welcome to my project management blog. And today we're gonna discuss what are the most common project management methodologies and how to pick the proper one for the project. To make a quick recap, in the previous video we have started our conversation about the project initiation, and there we have touched base on how to successfully conduct the very first meeting with the client and how to start drafting your project charter. By the way, below is the link to my guidelines on how I usually create my very first project document. So, cutting to the chase, now I'm suggesting you to review the most popular project management methodologies. This will help us to get an instant impression of the possible scenarios the project could be developed. And it will help us also to identify the criteria we should pay attention to while picking a methodology for our project. If you may recall, in one of our previous videos, we have been discussing the project types. By the way, the link to the guidelines is also below to this video. So there, one of the opportunities for the project categorization that was suggested was categorizing projects according to the project management methodology. And there we had three big groups or types, if you will. So there were classical or predictive ones, modern adaptive, and hybrid. So today we're gonna discuss those methodologies, and also we're gonna review their characteristics, advantages, and constraints. From the very first one, classical predictive project management or project delivery approach, which is called waterfall. It is called waterfall because the project delivery process is separated into phases which are cascaded to each other, and the process of the project delivery flowing steadily downwards, like let's say the stream of water is falling down from the top of the mountain with no repetitive or intermediate actions. Additionally to the fact that with the waterfall project management methodology, the project is divided into the separate phases which are not usually overlapping and which are usually isolated from each other, we could add some other characteristics so that you could instantly identify that this particular project is delivered with the waterfall methodology. Additionally, waterfall projects are usually constrained with the time and budget. So when we are picking the project management methodology, this means that we have only that much time and that much money to deliver a project. And considering the situation, we are trying to retrieve all the project requirements in advance. That is why it is called predictive, because we are trying to predict all the project from the very initiation. So we need to have all the requirements in the very beginning in order to build a delivery strategy. What is more, as we are constrained with the budget and with the time, changes in waterfall projects are not welcomed. So to the basket of the waterfall methodology constraints, we could put such items like no intermediate deployments and no intermediate feedback from the client. This means once we grabbed all the requirements in the very beginning and started the project, we are pushing it through the phases until the very end, when we are able to deliver the whole overall project at once and get the verification. Additionally, we could name this as a black box delivery because since we started the project, the customer most likely will not have any opportunity to view intermediate outcomes and to modify his requirements. Additionally, in the list of constraints, we have low flexibility, low adaptability, and an increased risk of finally get a product which is not desirable. On the other hand, waterfall also has its advantages. For instance, such advantages like an opportunity for precise planning and forecasting. Besides, this approach usually very convenient for clients because with waterfall we usually know the budget and the timeline in advance. Besides, it fits the fixed price agreements for projects. Now methodology, which is generally called agile. So modern, adaptive, aka agile project management or project delivery methodology is iterative, continuous delivery process when the product is delivered in stages. So in contrary to waterfall, agile is extremely flexible. It expects frequent deployments, frequent demonstrations, and it allows to get the frequent feedback from the client and implement the product improvements or modifications instantly. So all the above provides the adaptability for this methodology. In agile, scope prevails. Scope is extremely flexible and changes are welcomed. So to the box of constraints for agile, we could put the low predictability and the low opportunity to plan for such projects. Besides these aspects, that all the general project management KPIs, which are time, scope and budget, could be changed in this project. There is a ton of frameworks related to agile, which is Scrum, Kanban, Lean, Extreme Programming, Test-Driven Development, and so on. And I'm gonna touch base on the most common of them so that you could have a high-level understanding of those popular flavors. Let's discuss Scrum, Kanban, and Lean. So let's start from Scrum, and I guess today Scrum is the most popular product development methodology. So Scrum is a custom-driven methodology, and it has a lot of rules and events that are prompted to stimulate the productivity and discipline. Well, with Scrum, products are delivered into the set equal intervals that are called sprints, and actually this allows the frequent deployments and frequent feedbacks. So in the end of every sprint, we need to have something workable to deploy and to demonstrate. In Scrum, teams adopt a lot of roles, like a Scrum Master, a Product Owner, and they adapt artifacts such as product backlog, sprint backlog, or let's say product increment. And additionally, there is a lot of ceremonies and customs the team is following. For instance, daily scrums, sprint planning, backlog grooming, sprint review, sprint retrospective, and all this helps to constantly keep moving forward. Another project delivery methodology or agile flavor that I want to chat a little bit about is Kanban. So Kanban is the project management methodology that helps to visualize all the work that you currently have, limit the tasks in progress, and maximize the efficiency. Initially, Kanban came from the Toyota manufacturing, and it was called to eliminate bottlenecks, to get rid of the areas where people are facing the most number of constraints and when the work is stuck. So we need Kanban to streamline our workflow and to improve our efficiency. So with Kanban, we're also using boards, and I bet you know about them, you heard of them, and most likely you even saw them in any of the project management tools that are currently available in the market. So with Kanban, the team is able to visually see how many tasks are currently in progress and how many tasks they have under their belt, and to see the loading and capacity of every team member. So as it was mentioned, Kanban is called to visualize the work in progress that we currently have, to streamline the development and delivery process, and to increase the team efficiency. Another project management or project delivery methodology I wanted to touch base on is Lean. So Lean is a methodology when we are utilizing to create the maximum value for the customer with the minimum cost, minimum resources engaged, minimum efforts, and minimum waste. So everything that we are delivering for the customer should be profitable and valuable. So this means that Lean is about defining value, delivering it, and seeking for the perfection. And also Lean is about continuous improvement and about quality. And now we have come to those mysterious hybrids of the project management or project delivery methodologies. So a hybrid is when you are picking the most advantageous items from the methodologies you are willing to utilize in order to get the maximum value out of it. Regarding hybriding the agile methodologies and frameworks, I would say this is something natural. So every agile methodology could successfully supplement another one, and I would extremely welcome any hybrids of the agile frameworks. Picking one or another agile flavor or methodology is just a matter of taste or preference, so I sincerely believe that supplementing one methodology by another will just help you to perform better. For instance, if you're on Scrum and you are implementing the Kanban boards, it will just help you streamline your delivery process. Or for instance, if you are using Kanban and you have decided to add some custom events in this methodology, for instance, daily stand-ups or backlog grooming, it will just help you to deliver even more efficiently. Another situation is when we are hybriding agile with a classical waterfall methodology. But why would we need to do this? Well, in most cases, we are mixing these two different approaches in order to solve the conflict of interests. Therefore, we are grabbing the most advantageous parts of those methodologies and mixing them together in order to make them operate successfully. So we have discussed the most common and popular project management and project delivery methodologies, and now let's discuss and define which one of them, classical, adaptive or hybrid, would be the most suitable for our project. Well, first of all, to move forward with picking up the most suitable project management methodology, we need to analyze the criteria, requirements, and company governance that are possibly present. So, for instance, in some companies, this is a rigid criteria which project management methodology to choose. But in other situations, when there is nothing specific outlined, we need to focus on the requirements, criteria, and some specific information of the project that we currently have. Well, let's say the customer has only that much time, that much money, there is some specific deadline present, where customer is not flexible about price changes at all, or maybe he is not responsive and you are waiting to hear from him for weeks or even months. This is the exact criteria when we need to pick the waterfall methodology. Another situation is when the customer is pretty flexible about the budget, he doesn't know all the requirements in advance and he always changing his mind. So very responsive and wants to participate in the delivery process, and also when the final product is more important than the deadlines or budget. This is when we are taking one of the agile frameworks. Regarding the situation when the hybrid of agile and waterfall would be the most appropriate solution is when, for instance, when the client is not very much flexible about the budget, or he wants to know the key criteria in advance, so how much it would be cost and when the project will be delivered, but at the same time he's very responsive, he wants to participate, he wants the intermediate demonstrations, and he wants the project to be deployed iteratively, or maybe the team is extremely comfortable with the agile development approach. We are picking hybrid here. So with the hybrid of agile and waterfall, we are planning our project in advance, we are setting up the exact schedule, but at the same time we are allowing intermediate deployments, we are demonstrating the progress to the customer, and we are retrieving the feedback. However, at this certain moment, this approach would require a lot of attention and control from the project manager, because as we have constraints, let's say in the budget, and we are retrieving some feedback, there is a possibility of the unapproved change request or scope creep. This is not something good to be happening on the project. So guys, as you can see, during the project initiation and before the project is started, it is extremely important to choose the project management methodology, as it will impact the whole project delivery approach and the ground rules. So tell me if you do have any questions about picking up the project management methodology, and tip the notification bell, because next time we will be discussing how to plan the project. Stay safe, see you soon, cheers!